Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to work on a reel, and I'm going to offer to you as a opportunity to win this reel and give it a second chance. This is a South Bend Trophy Stalker. It's a small reel with a 5.1 ratio. It's a freshwater pond reel. We're going to show you how this reel is made, how to service it, and then we're going to give it away. So if you're interested in winning this reel, stick around for the details, and be assured that when the reel arrives, if you do win, that well, you've got a reel that's been serviced, ready to go fishing. We're going to start by taking you off the exterior pieces and parts. That includes your spool, your drag knob, and the drags that are underneath that, a little tension washer, a spool adjuster, and a click mechanism that lets you know when that spool is going in reverse. And then, well, before I take that rotor off, I want to take the handle off. Now, if you turn your handle and the button on this side is turning, it means that the handle has a shaft that goes through the main gear and is held in place with this. So make sure that you remove the handle this way. Don't try and turn it assuming it's screwed into the main gear. You'll only break the handle. That's not to say that 100% of the time, if that button doesn't move, that it's a screw-in handle on the other side. It always pays to remove that button and check. Some of the reels, like a earlier Daiwas and the like, hit a button, hit a screw under that button, so you just have to look. With that out, you can remove the handle, and because we don't want anybody having any cranking issues when I give this reel away, we're going to put a little shot of penetrating oil on there. And then have a parts strategy when you're servicing your reels. I use a parts tray, and it's got 2 segments to it, and I like to kind of organize the parts that I take off by sub-assemblies. Next, I want to remove the rotor. This is a 10mm nut, and make sure that as you do these, that if it seems like it's tight going in one direction, turn it in the other direction. This one is reverse threaded, so it comes off in the traditional clockwise manner, which is normally what you use to tighten it. There's a little keyway that holds the rotor in place there, but we can remove that now. And again, I want to make sure that the reel's ready to go fishing, so I'm going to oil the 2 seams and the line roller with some penetrating oil. I'm going to work it in to make sure that it snaps nice and free and easy as a bail release. This one's doing just fine. And a little bit of oil where that kick mechanism is for the trip lever. That one's big enough I can leave that off to the side. I'll put the little hat right on top of that. And let's take a look at what we have here. So we have a traditional anti-reverse dog and eccentric. The eccentric has got a little spring on it that moves as you turn the reel. You're fine. As you backpedal the reel, it pulls that out, and that out intersects with the ridges inside the rotor here to stop the reel. All right, all you need to do is lift this piece off. You do not need to remove the dog assembly. We'll put a little bit of oil on there in a moment. And underneath we have an assembly that's holding the bearing and the pinion gear in place. Before I do that, I want to take the case screws off on this side. There's 3 case screws here. The 3 screws are Phillips head screws. And while I do this, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, if your question is how do you enter to win, I'll be back to that in a moment. But if you are working on a reel and you're stuck, or maybe you don't understand why the reel is not performing the way it should, leave those questions in the comments section. I will try to answer those questions for you. It doesn't have to be on this reel. Maybe you're working on a conventional boat reel and something's happening. Just leave it here. I get all the comments and unanswered questions in the morning, and I try to do my best to kind of get you the help that you need. With those 3 screws removed, we should be able to remove the side plate now. We'll have our first look inside. So South Bend doesn't make reels. South Bend is basically a brand name, and it contracts to have the reels made. They've been doing it all along. And well, the good side is that most of the time the reels are nice reels. The downside of it is parts and service, almost impossible to get. Alright, I've just used a little screwdriver to pull up. We can see this is a plastic case. Underneath this is a pretty standard kind of a setup for a reel. And well, let's just crank this down so that we can get to the axle shaft and crosswind block. That would be here. And the next step of a service is to remove the screw that's holding the axle shaft to the crosswind block. It looks like it's got a very fine head on it, so I'm going to go to a micro screwdriver for that. And of course, one of the things you want to do as you service your reels is inspect all the pieces and parts. One of the things I want to do for sure is that, because I don't want to hand off a reel that's broken, right? Why have somebody win a broken reel? Well, we just did that, interestingly enough. Chris won a reel that was a goner, but he opened it up to see what he could do and found out, well, it was a goner. All right, another thing about the reels is it's got plastic bushings on it. It doesn't have bearings. If you wanted to, choice is all yours, you could get the bearings and upgrade the reel. Now, the way this reel is made, most people don't choose to do that, but you could do that. All right, I'm going to leave all those parts right there. And then there's 2 more screws I want to remove so that I can get to the one bearing in this reel. That bearing's sitting top side here. And it's a good place to tell you to take pictures. I've got parts and things all over the place here. Don't trust your memory. I'm doing pictures, I'm doing a video, but you don't have to do videos. But for example, this one has a wide side and a thin side. The wide side faces out, the thin side goes under this mechanism here. With that collar removed, we can remove the pinion gear by pulling up and out. That gives us the ball bearing and the pinion gear, which we want to clean. I'm going to take a hard brush, just run it through the teeth of that pinion gear to get the old grease and dirt out. You can see there's grease and dirt in there that needs to be removed. I'm going to take the opportunity to oil that bearing, and on top of that bearing there is a little washer, so pay attention to that as it goes back on. We're going to reinstall the bearing. I'm going to use fishing reel grease, and I only recommend using fishing reel grease to re-lube the reel. This is Penn Precision Reel Grease. Okay, we can take that. Just set that to the side for a moment because I want to wipe out the little grease that's in here out of the case. And we have that second bushing on this side. All right, we've cleaned up the rest of the case. All right, let's show you how to put this back together then. This is an oscillation gear. You want to check all of the teeth on this. It has a stud on the front, which is going to drive the axle shaft up and down because it's offset when the teeth are engaged with the back end of the main gear. When I do the oscillation gear, I like to grease it up and then put the stud at the base of the reel. After you've cleaned your crosswind block, that's got that slot there. That slot goes over the stud on your oscillation gear. With that in place, we can clean the main gear. Let's remove the dirt and grease. The back end gear drives that oscillation gear, makes the axle shaft go up and down. The front end gear, the big one, turns the pinion gear, makes the rotor go around to collect the line. Same thing. I use an artist brush for the fishing reel grease. And you want to get grease on both of those gear sets. Once you do that, you can install that gear back in. And actually, let's take that out for a moment, put the pinion gear back in at this point. Press that pinion gear down. That's our bushing on the other side. Remember, there's a fat side and a thin side of this. And we can start our screws here. Those are big screws for a little plate. Guess you don't have to risk that plate falling out. Alrighty. Now we can come back. We knocked off the bushing and the spacer. The spacer washer goes first, bushing goes second. Now we can put this in the case. Hold the case. You want to put the rotor on next. Oops, you don't want to put the rotor on next. You want to put the eccentric on. And when you put that eccentric on, you want to make sure that the loop is over the post here. This is your override. It's going to hold it in. And if you want it to work, you pull that off to the side. Take our freshly oiled rotor. Bring that over. Install your screw. Almost forgot, this is reverse threaded, so you need to turn it counterclockwise to tighten it up. Then we can bring our axle shaft down. With that attached, go find your Phillips head screw here that holds that assembly together. Again, if you're using a parts tray, I know exactly where to look for it. If you're not using a parts tray, well, maybe you've laid them out in the order that you've taken these pieces and parts off, or some other scheme. That's all good. And then I want to seat this before I tighten that down. There is a override spring here. It's a V-shaped spring. If you find one of them on your table, that's where it goes, and the side plate holds it together. Nice crisp click. Before I forget now, I want to tighten that last little turn here of the rotor nut. Okay, nice and tight. There's 3 screws now that go onto the side plate. They were all the same. I checked that out earlier. Wanted to make sure that they were. If they were shorter or longer in one of those positions, you would want to note which position that's in, so that when you go to reinstall, you put it back in its proper place. In this case, all 3 screws are the same. It doesn't matter which hole they go in. That's one down. This is the second. And one more below. So these reels are usually sold as value reels, and they're usually sold in combinations, a rod and a reel combination. In this case, this was part of a larger lot of reels that I purchased, and was separated from the rod itself. Okay, give it a spin. Nice operation. Make sure your axle shaft is going up and down, which it is. Click ratchet goes next. Spool line spacer is on top of that. Before we put the spool on, we want to check the drag washers. And most of the time, the drag washers in these are plastic, because they kind of know that the folks that are going to have this reel probably won't spend any time servicing them. So they give you the ones that are going to wear the best. All right, there's a 2 washer set. Basically, we have a flat washer below. This is the well, this is felt. It's felt that needs to be oiled severely. You need to keep felt flexible, so give it a good bath of fishing reel oil. Because this is a reduced set, the next one up is the eared washer. Second of those washers. Now the oil doesn't make it slip any faster or perform any better. What it does is it keeps it from tearing. The keyed washer, which is the one with the rectangular center, goes up top, so you have one top bottom, and then you have that eared washer with the stud on it in between, and then put the retention clip back in. Put that back on, and you don't need a lot of drag with this. Again, this is a freshwater reel, probably the 1000 size, or maybe the 2000. I don't think it's quite 2. Might be. I haven't seen a model on it. but it's suitable for freshwater fishing, pond fishing, stream fishing, fishing from a pier, or kayak, canoe. But it should handle some nice fish. It's again a 5.2 to 1 ratio. Put the handle in by inserting the shaft through the main gear. Turn this on, give it a test, tell you how to win it. How's that? Okay. All tightened. You can put a drop of oil into the handle here. And well, there you go. Nice, smooth, easy operating reel. Make sure that the bail works. And that's it. How do you win this one? Well, you simply enter into the comments section that you're a subscriber and you'd like to win the reel. That easy. What I will do in about a week to 10 days, I will pull all of those comments from the section. We'll print them out, kind of fold them up, put them in a drawing, and see who the lucky winner is. So I wish you all luck. If you're interested in winning this reel, again, just say I'm a subscriber and would like to win the reel in the comment section, and like the video as well. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.